Hello, I'm here again on the DVD to talk you through the deleted scenes and explain to you why they were cut. Mostly it's always the same reason, which is for time, but we'll have a look. So the first deleted scenes this year are from The Next Doctor, and this first one is a scene of the Doctor and Jackson Lake on the landing, about to go into the Reverend's house and investigate stuff. We simply cut this, not for time actually, but because it was just a bit chatty. And the Doctor and Jackson Lake were taking a long time to get to know with each other, and the sooner you can get to a Cyberman coming through the door, the better. So here it is.
You should make your escape, Mr. Smith. I have work to do.
Oh, can't I stay? I could be your companion. Always room for one more. Oh, I like this. So what are we looking for, Doctor?
Signs of alien infiltration.
Oh, good. This investigation of yours, what's it all about?
It started with a murder.
Oh, good. I mean, bad, but whose?
Mr. Jackson Lake came to London 3 weeks ago and died a terrible death.
Cybermen.
It's hard to say. His body was never found. But then it started. More secret murders, then abductions. Children stolen away in silence.
So whose house is this?
The latest murder. The Reverend Aubrey Fairchild, found with burns to his forehead.
And here's another little section just trimmed from the later scene with the Doctor and Jackson Lake talking again. Again, I like this stuff actually, there's nice gags in this, but it's just like, get on with it. So we cut this just to trim.
But who was he? Was he important?
You ask a lot of questions.
I'm your companion.
The Reverend was the pillar of the community, found on many a parish board, a keen advocate of children's charity.
Children again?
Oh, he was famously good to them. He disciplined them, birched them, sent them to the workhouse.
Oh, lovely. Nice man. But why would the Cybermen want him dead? And what's his connection to the first death, this Jackson Lake?
Now this next bit is the end of scene 21. We cut this bit because we kept on playing with it a lot in the edit as to how human Jackson is and how much the Doctor knows. And in this cut scene, actually, it sort of becomes very obvious that the Doctor does know that Jackson Lake is human because Jackson's only got one heart, which is nice. But then we thought if we cut it, you get like an extra 10 minutes suspense as to is he or isn't he a Time Lord. So it was a little bit of extra suspense. It does show my lack of suspense in writing. I know I much prefer to just explain stories straight up, but we tried.
Last time.
Come here, you'll be okay. Let me just check.
You told them you were the Doctor. Why would you do that?
Oh, just protecting you.
You're trying to take away the only thing I've got, like they did. They stole something. Something so precious, but I can't remember what happened to me. What did they do?
We'll find out. You and me together. But we're still alive, eh? That's not bad. That big old heart of yours is still beating, Doctor. That one single heart.
This is just a little bit of dialogue cut from Planet of the Dead on the inside of the bus. Do you know, I wish we hadn't cut this bit. It's one of those things that we went through, you go through about 7, 8, 9 edits, and after a while you forget what you've seen and what you haven't. And it was only after we locked that I realised we cut this bit. It was in one of the first edits, then we cut it, and I think that's a shame, and we should have kept it, and here it is.
Point 5. The crucial thing is do not panic. Quite apart from anything else, the smell of sweat inside this thing is reaching atrocious levels. We don't need to add any more. Point 6. Team identification. Names. I'm Christina. This man is apparently the Doctor.
Hello.
And you?
Nathan.
I'm Barclay.
Angela Whittaker.
My name is Louis. Everyone calls me Lou. And this is Carmen.
Excellent. Memorise those names. There might be a test. Point 7. Rations. Angela Whittaker, how much food have you got there?
Just a weekly shop.
Then you're in charge of rations. Any water?
Just orange juice and milk.
Guard them with your life.
Will do.
Good girl. Now, point 8. Assessment and application of knowledge. Over to you, the Doctor.
I thought you were in charge.
I am. And a good leader utilises her strength. You seem to be the brain box. So, Start boxing.
This is scene 79 from Planet of the Dead, and we argued over this, and James Strong, the director, always wishes we kept this bit in. And again, I just thought everything's reaching a climax. It's all getting very exciting. Malcolm's had a gun pointed at him, and then the dialogue carries on. It talks about the keyboard, and you'll see why later on he's now clutching the keyboard, because we cut this bit of dialogue. Frankly, once a gun's come into the conversation, who cares about the keyboard? So I cut this, and James Strong hated me for cutting it.
He's the doctor! How many times has he saved our lives? I won't let you, man. I simply won't. Right now, soldier. No, 'cause you need me. You don't even know what button to press. Transmit F8. Oh. Oh, well then. To get to that button, you'll have to shoot me.
This next scene, scene 12 from Borders Mars, is interesting, this, because in the script, there's quite a bit of dialogue about the fact that Mia and Yuri are a couple. And as you'll see in the clip, the captain objects to their being a couple. The doctor's fascinated by that. And we cut that. Julie Gardner, the executive producer, was a big fan of cutting the sequence because, again, she just wanted to get to the monster faster. It sort of made us have a lot of very interesting discussions about if Mia and Yuri are a couple and then they end up together at the end. There was, in the very first drafts, there was a lot of dialogue about will that couple then have children? And since they were meant to die on Mars, does that mean that children will exist in the world that the Doctor has allowed to exist by saving them? And we got all very wound up and excited by all sorts of philosophical discussions about that. However, when you watch the finished episode, you sort of thought, actually, for all our discussions, that's completely irrelevant.
Is there something wrong?
What's so important about my age?
Nothing. Oh, but you're a couple.
Who? Me and him?
No one ever knew.
We're not. We just work together.
For the past 5 minutes, you've been 4 inches closer than a man and woman would normally stand.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, come off it, you two. At least we can all stop pretending now.
How long have you known?
Since 10 million miles from Earth.
That was a very small ship.
Don't tell me the captain doesn't approve of couples.
I decided it was more easily contained if nothing was said. So thank you for that, Doctor. From now on, I'm allocating you separate shifts in separate domes.
They said you were severe, but blimey. Adelaide Brooke, Captain Adelaide. I can tell you for a fact, your granddaughter will be so proud of you.
Don't you dare bring my family into this.
Point taken, not fair. And I should go. I really should go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry with all of my heart. But it's one of those very rare times when I've got no choice.
This is scene 48. This was the only Flood's bit of dialogue with the Doctor and with the crew. And I just cut it because we would have treated the voice. And we made that clear. Poor Sharon Duncan Brewster is talking with water pouring from her mouth here. And had we kept this scene, we would have dubbed the voice on properly and made it sound all alien and spooky. So it would have sounded better than it does now. But in the end, I just thought the Flood was more mysterious, not explaining who they are or why they are. And indeed, they don't explain very much in these speeches either. But it does explain why, later on in the story, the Doctor knows the name of the enemy.
Has that door got a hiding seal?
No, just basic.
Then the moment she heads for the door, we evacuate. Got that?
Pulse is low. Electrical activity in the brain seems to be going haywire.
Can she talk?
I don't know. She was talking before we noticed the change, but...
Maggie, can you hear me? Do you know who I am? Your commanding officer, Captain Adelaide Brooke. Can you tell me what happened? Margaret Kane, I demand a report. Tell me what happened to you.
Hurgwal and shocked man an Warlinch och fortebellen in Hurgwal.
What language is that?
Ancient North Martian.
Ridiculous.
It's like she recognized it.
Her eyes are different. They're clear, like she's closer to human.
Not close enough for me.
Where'd you get your water from?
The ice field. That's why we chose the crater. We're on top of an underground glacier.
Tons of water, marvellous.
But every single drop is filtered, it's screened, it's safe.
Looks like it, yeah.
If something was frozen down there, a viral life form held in the ice for all those years.
Look at her mouth. All blackened like there's some sort of fission. Well, think about it. The body's 60% water, but look at her. The water never stops. This thing, whatever it is, doesn't just hide in water. It creates water.
And the water will consume you.
She's absorbed the language.
So much water in your so solid shapes. Water. Always reaching to be free. You will drown in the flood. Everyone drowns.
The flood, is that you? Is that your consciousness? Tell me what you want.
She was looking at the screen, at Earth. She wanted Earth, a world full of water.
Captain, with me.
Scene 60 is a tiny little trim where the Doctor talks a little bit more about the Ice Warriors. I wish we kept this, but because it's a bit fanboy and talks about the past of Doctor Who, I didn't quite have the nerve to sit in the edit and say, please, could you keep this in? So it got trimmed against my better judgment.
They tell legends of Mars from long ago. Of a fine and noble race who built an empire out of snow. The Ice Warriors.
I haven't got time for stories.
Perhaps they found something down there. Used their might and their wisdom to freeze it. Or maybe they fled the planet because it was unstoppable. And then the human race comes looking.
Doctor! We've got to find any sort of change in the water process. We've got to date the infection.
Scene 92, this is interesting, where Ed has to kill himself and blow up the shuttle, and he says, no coppers on board, because it was sort of hinted that he would have liked to have had a romantic entanglement with Adelaide that he had suppressed because no coppers were allowed on board. We then cut the stuff about the coppers with me and Yuri, so this last line didn't quite make sense. And also, as Julie said, she says it's a bit sentimental, that, and it's not really quite true of their relationship. And so I replaced this in the dub. Instead of this dialogue, we get a much more cryptic line that was added afterwards, where Ed's last words are, "You never could forgive me." And we'll never know what he means by that, and we'll never know what went on between him and Adelaide. And I love that. I love a glimpse of a story where you've got no idea what happened, but that was all written afterwards.
Captain, the shuttle's down.
What the hell do you mean?
Compromised. It was Maggie.
Get out of there!
Too late. They want this ship to get to Earth. Got no choice. Better. Keep your head down. No, 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 no! Hated it, Adelaide. This bloody job. You never gave me a chance. No couples on board. Good rule. See you later.
Scene 133, tiny little speech from Yuri about the snow being artificial, which we cut because it's like the least important thing in that scene. And I, in truth, only put that speech in to be indulgent, because there's a long history of the Doctor at Christmas standing in snow that isn't real snow. Like it was ash in the Christmas Invasion, and it was ballast from the Titanic in Voyage of the Damned, and he made it artificially snow in the Runaway Bride. So it's a running gag that it's not often real snow. And so this time it was the carbon wash, and this is Yuri explaining that.
Isn't anyone going to thank me? He's lost his signal. Doesn't know where he is. Don't you get it? This is the 21st of November, 2059. the same day on Earth.
That's my house.
And it's snowing. I love snow.
That's not snow. It's the carbon wash, cleaning the atmosphere. Everyone on Earth knows that. How come you don't?
What is that thing? It's bigger. I mean, it's bigger on the inside. Who the hell are you?
Look after her.
Yes, ma'am.
This episode is called The Final Days of Planet Earth. It's a tiny little cut we made just because we simply didn't need the scene. But if you want to see the Doctor recovering on Christmas morning, here he is. The end of the episode, poor Mr. Danes, he's got a great big speech here about the staff and addressing them and telling them how to behave, which I loved, and I think he does really nicely. And I'm glad to include it on the DVD because he's a lovely actor. We just had to cut it for time. It was just a long sequence and we didn't need it in the end. So poor Mr. Danes, here it is.
You will not talk to the visitor. You will make only minimum eye contact with the visitor. If the visitor should make any unauthorized movements, meaning so much as a step to the left or to the right, the visitor will be shot dead. Guards will assume visors to monitor the visitor's natural state.